By 8. This is, well, I'm just, really pleased about this. This film I'm going to review is The Black Cat from 1981. That's today's video. Or, you never know, something else might pop up. But anyhow, this, I've really got to thank Phil for sending me this. I've heard a little bit about this, but didn't know a great deal, and I'm really thankful for him for sending this. It's such it's an interesting film and very enjoyable. It's, as I say, it's directed by Lucio Fulci. Now he is one of those names that is well known for directing giallo and horror films. Now, this film, which may explain why it's perhaps not looked at in quite the same light, is because City of the Living Dead is the one before this, 1980. And then we've got this. Then, in the same year, 1981, we've got The Beyond, which is, a lot of people really love The Beyond. And, of course, we've got also House by the Cemetery, which I do actually have, and a 4K of that, which is great. And then I look at his later some of his later films. Well, not that later, a bit after. There's The New York Ripper, which again I've got and really love that. These are great films. There's a whole set of great films by Fulci. He's a great director, and he's got his career. I was looking at it goes right back to comedies, spaghetti westerns, and I say he became known with his giallo and of course these horror films. So this film is 92 minutes long. If you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 33% rating. Didn't really surprise me as that. From what I've heard, it's not going to be particularly high because, because it's overshadowed by these other films. But I think it's worth having a look at this, and I think the value, especially with a release like this, has really gone up, that people are appreciating it a lot more. Now, it's loosely based on Edgar Allan Poe's Black Cat story. And when I say loosely, that is a term. He did co-write this, Fulci, with another Italian writer, Biagio Proetti. That might just pronounce that. And I think he definitely puts his own version and stamp on this film. Let me just also go through the cast a little bit to set a background as well to this film, because the casting was, I think, very important in this film, particularly the lead actor, which has to be Patrick Magee. Yes, Patrick Magee. This is sadly one of his last films in the same year. He also did The Blood of Dr. Jekyll, or The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Miss Osborne, as it's also known. These are his last work, and what a distinguished, brilliant career he had. I've mentioned him before. Clockwork Orange, say from 1971. For me, Asylum was also 1972, and in a Hammer film, of course, Demons of the Mind 1972. So, I'm just amazed. You look through the amount of films that he was in, and I'll tell you something. This film is absolutely dominated by his performance. It's so outstanding. He is absolutely superb. It's hard to believe he died the year after. I know he must have been getting ill, various problems and what have you. But what a wonderful performance this is. I think without his performance, the film wouldn't stand as high. Even though, it's got a lot of good things in there, he elevates the film. I really believe he actually elevates this film just by his performance. It's just everything you want in this performance. It's great. Other members of the cast, we've got now Mimsy Farmer. She plays Jill, who's the photographer. She's an American actress who started to appear in a lot of these European films. And she was very much involved in a lot of giallo and that kind of films. So that's her performance. Her performance, I think, is quite restrained to some extent, even though she has there is a particular sort of Exorcist rip-off scene with a bed in it. It is, I don't think she's outstanding, to be honest. She's good. She's okay. But you wouldn't say she's outstanding. It's the same with this the other actress in there that stands, Dagmar Lassander, who plays Lillian. She's the mother of the daughter who's gone missing, and of course has met an unfortunate fate. She was a German actress, and I don't think she got on that well with, apparently, some of the other members of the cast. She's still going, actually, and she gave up acting and what have you. She's quite an interesting person to look at. There's an interview with her on here as well. The sort of other male character that stands out is David Warbeck, or Warbeck. I think that's how you pronounce him. He plays the police man that comes and investigates, the detective to help out. He, of course, is more famously in The Beyond, which is the acclaimed film. But if you look at his work, he's got a wonderful set of films that he was in. Incidentally, he was in 1971 Twins of Evil. I thought I'd throw that in. We always get Hammer films pop up here and there. So these actors have a script that is sort of, it's almost like there's certain scenes that are put together, and it's about the atmosphere, I'd say, this film, because it's borrowing from various things. The whole narrative is rather disjointed, and you kind of wonder what's going on. It's all linked, I suppose, together by the black cat. And the questions are over the black cat. Who's controlling the black cat? Or is the black cat controlling other people? But it seems, as it's shown here, that the black cat is involved in all the murders. Or is it? We don't know. There's these elements there. It looks like it's saying it could be, but I think it's one of those films that you have to make up your own mind about. Because then we have, sort of these connected scenes, which almost, as they say in the documentary, are almost ripped off from other films. But the Italians were good at doing this. They looked at American films, and used those ideas and put their own spin on it. We've got, for instance, like, as I say, Patrick McGee plays this professor, and when we see him, he's investigating dead communication with the dead, basically, and trying to record voices and things like that. He's doing this sort of paranormal research. But that doesn't really go anywhere in the story. I mean, it might, you could say, is it suggesting that this in, but we don't really get a conclusion with that. And then there's the two young lovers. They represent like the teens in all these slasher films who, they don't get slashed, but they end up having a rather sticky, unfortunate death. It's interesting that if you look at the killings, that's what we'll call them, in this film, they are rather, I don't think, it's quite restrained, the gore factor. It's not as gory or anything. But as I say, it's almost about the atmosphere and the fear factor. I mean, the fire as well, what we see that is quite horrific, I think, definitely. And the way that is filmed, I think what it is about this film, it's the style and the direction by Fulci linked with the performance by Patrick McGee. These bring the film together. And also, I think it's also worth mentioning the locations. The locations are absolutely fantastic. They're in England. They were filmed in England. There was West Wickham, Chalfont St Miles, and Amberleden. Amberleden? I think that's right. These are like villages, fantastic villages that I discovered. These are all in Buckinghamshire, and they just add so much. They're beautiful to look at. They are really. There's a great documentary where they go back to see how they are now compared with the film. I think that they again elevate the film, and his style of direction brings this out beautifully. It's great, and all the rest of the interiors were filmed in Rome. That's where we've got the Italian-English connection. These international films. But I think the Italians thought, well, there's some great locations in England, and they came over and discovered all these wonderful places to film, and it does work so well. So also, I think there's another interesting aspect which I found interesting, is this almost control by looking at the eyes. We've got the eyes of the cat. We've also got the eyes of the human, sort of hypnotic, mesmerizing power that we have in the eyes. And I thought that's filmed really well. That's another theme. There are kind of lots of themes, but don't always come together. And as I say, they leave you wondering, who is controlling the evil? Is it him, the professor, or is the cat a force? And I kind of find that very interesting, the way you wonder what is actually going on. That keeps it going. But as I said, the film generally in reception was not particularly well received as much, but with time things have changed, and this Arrow video release, 2015 release, was really, I think, helpful in understanding of this film, and sort of, I'm sure, has really helped in people's understanding of this film. So it's almost seen as one of Fulci's lesser films, but now I think we're appreciating it. And I'll tell you, I really enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable film. It really is. You can put this on and really enjoy it. And just look at the direction of this film. There's so many great images, and what a great director he was. It's about, as I say, the atmosphere and style, I think. Great film. Highly recommended. What can I say anymore? But I say there's all these extras, great set of extras, well worth investigating. So thanks, Phil, again, for sending me this. And if you're interested, when I put out these videos, please subscribe and Also, if you like it, please give it a like. It's cost note, it's free, and it gets in algorithms, all that, so more people hopefully can enjoy my videos. Well, I hope they do enjoy them, why not? And then say it costs note, so there you are. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.